great.
You look fit.
What's that?
Did I look good?
You do look good.
I mean, naked on the street by starting.
You did. You were rolling. I was impressed with your speed too. Like you were getting after it.
Oh yeah.
Like you weren't messing around. You weren't walking or jogging or like you were really trying to get something out of that exercise. Yeah. What's up, guys? Go ahead. Yeah. I saw Rob the other day running. I can vouch for his physical fitness.
Was there a squad car behind him? Or?
No, he was good. No, he was good.
Police bicycle, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, everybody saw the press release. We're excited to add Mike Thorne to our family, his family, as well as Mike himself. I think he embodies a lot of what we are about, what we want to be about moving forward. I enjoyed getting to know him and his family. His dad, sister, mom. We were able to have his father and him on the visit, and it's just kind of one of those deals for us. And then our players did a really good job as well. I think he fits our family really well. I think he's excited about the atmosphere we have here. I think he's excited about the opportunity that he has. I love the fact that he has voiced to me how much he cares about winning, and we're looking forward to getting him here this summer. Questions?
Talk about him a little bit as a player and what you think he's going to bring to the team.
Well, obviously he brings size. You can't coach size. He's got big hands, good hands, catches well, can really finish around the basket, has good touch, has good footwork. He's an older player, so he's experienced and from the standpoint of obviously how many games he's played. I think that's an advantage for him for sure. And then just as I said, Steve, just the overall size. I mean, it's hard to get size like that. Certainly one that's been as productive as he has been. I think he's got a chance to bring an element and a dimension to our team on the offensive end with his low post scoring and his ability to finish in and around the basket. He shot 53% last year from the field. He has a knack for finishing in the two-point area, and for all of you guys that followed us, we know that was an area that we wanted to try to get shored up because we did shoot it very well from three, very well from the free throw line, and we took care of the ball very, very well. I think that the fact that he does that at a high level in and around the basket is certainly going to help us tremendously. Obviously, he has a knack for rebounding the ball. Part of that's his hands, part of it's his body, his ability to anticipate his size. So he's going to be able to help us with the rebounding as well. So, and then I think the type of person he is, being an older guy. We got some young guys coming in. He's played a lot of college basketball at a very high level, and I think he's going to be influential too with our entire team. But I'm excited to what he can, what he's about and what he's going to be able to demonstrate to our younger guys with his experience that he's had to this point.
I don't know that you've had anybody with this kind of size since you've been here at Illinois. So how does that change what you guys do, particularly on the offensive end?
Well, we'll look at it as we continue, obviously, to think about what we're going to do offensively. He's a big part of it just because he does have a knack. It's our job to score in and around the basket. And you're right, Marcus. He's really, we've certainly had some guys with some size over the first 3 years that have brought different things to the table, whether it's defending or mobility, I think about Sam McLaurin, and I thought he was really good for us, especially defensively. Griffey was a really good shooter. I mean, you can go down the line on all those guys. They all brought something. This is the first time that we've got a guy of that size that wants to play with his back to the basket, likes to play with his back to the basket, and is gifted at playing with his back to the basket. So certainly, we understand that that's a strength of his, and it's our responsibility to, make sure that we exercise that strength that he has. We get him the ball in positions where he can be successful, because I think, anytime you can play inside out, whether it's via the dribble or the pass, I think it really helps your offense.
Whoever was going to play there was going to look different than Nana defensively. So how will he look defensively?
Well, obviously, again, I hate to keep stating the obvious, but size.
Yeah.
When you're, 6'11", 260 pounds, you have an ability to affect two-point field goal percentage in particular defensively, just because of that size. So I think he's going to help us there. and defensive rebounding, he's going to help us. He has a knack to defensive rebound, and obviously rebounding is a big part of being good defensively. You can play really good defense, but if you don't finish with first-time defensive rebounds and finish possessions out, then that certainly affects how good you can be on that end. On that end, so I know he's going to impact there. We're anxious to start working with him here and get him here this summer. But I think the thing probably more than anything, Tup, is the defensive rebounding and just the overall size around the rim. I think those things will be benefits defensively as well.
I know you've talked about wanting a big man, but also wanting a point guard. You've got one scholarship left. Is that what you're honing in on right now?
We are. I think that's important that we continue to add talented, I always say this, people and players, to our roster in depth. It's certainly not the only thing that we're looking at. We've got our antennas up on on some other things as well, but I do think that could certainly be helpful, just to add depth there. Certainly we tried to do that in the fall as well with that class, and now we have an opportunity potentially here to do it in the spring, and we'll see how this thing goes here the next few weeks.
Shed some light on the difference between recruiting the four-year guys, the kids out of high school, versus transfers, because we've had a mix of both of those.
I'm sensing you're in particular, you're talking about fifth years.
Sure, fifth years,
Yeah,
transfers in general.
Yeah, I think obviously you're trying to get to know them in a really, very short period of time in some cases. Although sometimes even when you're recruiting a high school senior, depending on when you get involved or when a scholarship becomes available, it's not always a case just because a kid's a high school senior that you've been recruiting him for 2, 3, or 4 years. That's not always the case. But I think that opportunity presents itself probably more with a high school kid. The one thing about transfers is that a lot of them have been through the recruitment process before. You find, certainly generally speaking, not all the time, but that they like it a little bit more simplistic. They kind of know what they're looking for. They've been through all that. I think just the experience that they've had playing in college, being recruited before in most cases, certainly affects their process the second time around.
What degree program will Mike be enrolled in?
We're looking at that. Right now, my guess is probably RST, but we're working through, some of that stuff now and getting all that ironed out. Mike's a good student, really good student, comes from a family that cares a great deal about education. So, whichever field it is, he's going to be in good shape.
Which area of his game are you looking to improve most upon this summer? Would you focus on defense?
Well, I just think expanding his game a little bit. We've talked a little bit about that. We've talked about, continuing to get him in. He wants to be in the best shape of his life. Working with his body from a cardiovascular standpoint as well as from a strength standpoint. Getting him familiar with our system. I certainly think the foreign trip helps. Because you get 10 practice days plus 3 or 4 games where he and our team will get a jump on the season. I think that's going to be really beneficial.
Was there a relief to adding a guy like Mike given the absence of Nana and Austin moving forward in the front court?
I think it was a need. I don't know if it's more of a relief necessarily. I think obviously it's a tremendous asset. We're excited about what he brings, as I said earlier, to the table. I'm excited about who he is as a person as much as I am the basketball piece. I think it's a great fit because of that. I don't know if I'd use the word, relief. I think we can figure out different ways to play. I've got a really good staff to be competitive, whether we're small, big, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think that certainly size does matter, especially on the defensive end, and really the offensive end as well with what he brings to the table there as a low post guy who can score in and around the basket. So, I think all those things certainly enhance and move our team forward. So I think more excitement necessarily than relief.
Fan base was excited that you went head-to-head against the Blue Bloods and you won a recruiting battle. What does it mean to you?
Well, for me, it's what I just said there. For us, it's getting what I think is a really good person, a really good player that fits in well with what we needed, that fits in well with our team, with our culture, with our philosophy of how we do things. He and his family both are, tremendous in that regard in terms of the fit piece. So that's what's most important to me. I don't necessarily get caught up in, who we're recruiting against, or, if you're in this long enough, like I have been, you start out with hair, you then lose hair, you win some recruiting battles, you lose some recruiting battles, and we just, for us, I think it's more about staying the course, Rob, and continuing to find guys that fit what we need and what we're about, and certainly Mike's one of those guys.
You have Mike at the 5. You have Mav at the 5. Who else will you work at the 5?
Well, obviously, Finke has, a skill set and game as he's gained weight and he's gotten taller.
Right.
Just like we planned. I knew when we recruited him he was going to grow a couple more inches.
That's good.
No. So that's helped. Certainly, DP's a guy that can play there a little bit, and I think guys that can play multiple positions are certainly really, really valuable. And I think obviously Michael, with his skill set, I think could play both positions. I think Darius could play both positions. I think we can move guys around and adjust guys here and there, and we've done that. Sometimes it's good and different to be a little bit unconventional. Even this past year, we're playing, Malcolm at the quote-unquote 4. He's really a guard. I mean, he's a fourth guard. A lot of teams are playing that way now. But I think the one thing about our roster, when I look at it now, that excites me is we have the option to be able to play big ball or to play small ball if we want. And that's such a great luxury to have as a coach, to be able to adapt like that within the course of a game, based on matchups or what you think might be an advantage, or whether or not you need to match up with an opponent defensively or create an offensive problem or mismatch. So I think it gives us a great deal of flexibility.
Can you comment on Peden yet? On Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan. Obviously I saw the deal this morning there in the newspaper, well written there by your boy Jackson. Yeah, he's obviously he's got a phenomenal opportunity at Butler, one that I'm excited for him and his family. Very similar to when Brandon left, he has an opportunity to go back to be full-time assistant coach, working for a guy that I have a lot of respect for, that worked with us at Ohio. He and I played together in college and just did a fantastic job at Butler this past year. So he gets a chance to work with him and get back on the road a little bit recruiting, and then also get a chance to coach and be on the floor. So I'm excited for Ryan and his family. Ryan gave us 2 phenomenal years and is really, really talented, and he needs, hopefully, and I'm sure he will, do a great job for Chris.
Were you involved promoting him to Chris Holtman?
What's that?
Did you talk to Chris about hiring Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a great fit for both of them, and I care a lot about Chris. I want Chris to do well, and I'm sure I care a lot about Ryan. So I think it's a great fit, and it's another step for Ryan kind of in his journey, professionally. So I'm excited for him. I think it's a great fit.
What are you looking for to fill that position? It seems like you can go anywhere. You took a guy who was in the business, out of the business, and
I think obviously the framework of the position's been consistent regardless both times. We're very fortunate. Both guys were really, really talented. Both guys had basketball minds. Both guys had been full-time assistant coaches. Both guys very, very, very good with the scouting stuff that we work on. Great with helping us put our schedule together, which is really, really important. Both Ryan and Brandon did a great job of that. So, the job description, although certainly you can, shuffle some things a little bit and move some things within the staff, but, for the most part, I mean, it's basketball centered. Even though it's an administrative position, a lot of the work they do, certainly, not recruiting, obviously, away from campus and not coaching on the floor, but that aside, there's a lot of basketball elements to the job.
How many people are you considering for Ryan's replacement?
I have an idea of what direction I'm going. Obviously, I've known for a little while here, but as you can imagine, this is a special place, and there's a lot of people that have expressed interest, and I'm certainly respectful of that and realize a lot of that has to do with how great a place Illinois is. So, but I've got an idea of what direction I'm going.
Did Mike wear number 12 in college?
He did.
And so what are you going to do? Have him and Leron stripped to the waist?
Yeah, they're
and
going
wrestle,
to rebound battle for it, right? No, we'll figure that out. Obviously both of them are really competitive. Both of them are guys that, the great thing about Leron as well as Mike is both of those guys understand that you have to sacrifice to be a part of a team. So, we'll see what happens with that. I'll let those two guys figure that one out.
If you don't fill that final scholarship,
How does that change the dynamic? And is that necessarily a bad thing to have that extra?
No, the main thing for us is we want to get someone that fits need and someone that fits it in as a part of our family, our core, our culture. I've learned that more and more over the 3 years how important that is to evaluate that. And if you're right, if we don't get the right fit or the right guy, then we'll push the scholarships. What we'll do. For us, it's more important that we get the right fit.
Thanks, John.
Yep. Thanks, guys. For sure.